Hello everyone, this is James Francis and welcome to this Facebook live stream for our awesome group, the Digital Prosperity Community. If you can hear me okay, please go ahead and let me know in the chat box. You should see it if you're on somewhere else apart from Facebook. It will be on the right hand side. If you're on Facebook, in the Facebook group, it will be below this little video thing or on the right if you have it enlarged. Basically, let me know you can hear me okay. On this live stream, I'm going to be talking about how to raise capital for your online business, right? To kickstart that online business to the point where even if your financial situation isn't great right now, there are certain things you can do to kind of make that happen for you. So you can invest in advertising, so you can invest in marketing, so you can invest in coaches if that's something you want to accelerate your progress. So you can basically get better results than you would do just slaving away, trading your time for money, right? Because with an online business, you essentially either have time or money, usually a lot of the time at least. Like people who are working full-time jobs, they're working like 80 hours a week, they don't have much time, but they have a lot of money. So here's how to kind of leverage that. But also if you are, you may be unemployed, you may have a low-paying job, you might have come into some financial distress recently, especially with the whole COVID thing, right? Nobody wants to do that. So I'm going to help you to kind of overcome that in a way that is not going to screw you over in the long term, but actually help you without putting yourself in a vulnerable situation, all right? And I know this because way back in my day, way back in 2008, there was actually a depression in the world, like an economic depression, and I got started during that, probably the worst time to start a business, and I was able to have what we have now, an 8-figure company, between ourselves and our clients, and we did all that from zero. I was working a minimum wage job. I was working in a grocery store, stacking shelves of new stock of bread and cakes, which was not even that interesting. Maybe the cake a little bit, but not so much the bread. And I didn't have any reserves or any savings or anything like that. I definitely didn't have a full-time job. I was a student at the time in college, and I didn't really know much about the world or anything. So I wish I'd have known about all this stuff back then, because it would have enabled me to kind of kickstart my business and become much more profitable much sooner. I mean, in my case, it took me about 2 or 3 years to get 6 figures of doing this stuff seriously. But in your case, we've had other clients go from $0 to $14,000 in their first week, not necessarily with a huge budget either. So just to give you an example of what's possible, a lot of people say it takes time. If you don't have money, it takes time. That's not the case. There are certain things you can do to kickstart that. So let me know if you're excited for this in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and just check that everyone can hear me okay. If you're joining us, welcome. If you can hear me okay, please go ahead, let me know in the comments. Just say, hey James. It'll be great to hear from everyone. Let me see make sure we are here. Because I don't get a notification on this, right? I'm just talking to the camera and it says I'm live, but sometimes it's not come through. There we go. It says we're live. Perfect. So let me get into it. Right. So there are a few things you can do, right? So first you need to assess your situation. Now, this is going to depend on your level of risk and also your understanding and familiarity of yourself. Because I don't want to give you a high-risk strategy if you're the type of person who procrastinates, who doesn't do the work required, or they do it wrong, or you have a hard time understanding concepts and things to do, right? So I'm going to be working through this in order of least risk to highest risk. And not always will there be a greater reward for the highest risk. So I would recommend starting at the least amount of risk and then working your way up if you're the type of person who understands themselves that you will actually get this done properly and not put yourself in a worse situation, all right? I need to give that massive disclaimer here. I'm not a financial consultant. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not financial consulting in any kind of way here. This is just me speaking from my experiences and opportunities that we've used in our company to grow it very quickly compared to other people who are just still on the sidelines 6 years later, right? Because of their financial situation, right? And the truth is, not everyone is in a perfect financial situation. If you're starting an online business, the chances are your finances may not be in the best place, and that's okay. the first step is to understand it's okay. Everyone is in a similar situation to yourself. You are not anything special to be in a bad financial situation. There are lots of people struggling as well. But so don't let that stop you from moving forward, essentially, right? There are ways you can overcome that. Now, the first and least risk way of starting a business with a low amount of capital or low amount of money is to look at the free methods. Now, there are lots of things wrong with this, because if you look at free information, it's only like the basic stuff that people give you. They of course hold back the good stuff for their coaching programs and so on and so on, which is what we do. We teach you guys in the group the best stuff that we can for the free price point. Otherwise, it would be unfair on our paying coaching clients if we're giving everything away for free. Right? Why would they join our coaching if that's the case? And you'll find this with a lot of business owners, and that's just how business works. Don't forget, this is not a charity, it is a business, and you should be of the same mindset as a business owner. Try not to think of this from the customer perspective, because that's only going to get you frustrated and overwhelmed. Try and look at it from a business owner perspective, and what would you do? Would you give all away your best stuff for free? Of course not, right? Then you'd have nothing to sell. So keep this in mind when I'm talking about this. But one thing you can do is use a lot of free information available to you on YouTube, in this group that you're already a part of, and other methods that you found on people's email lists and so on and so on. Just be sure that the people you're listening to are actually qualified to give you that advice. Now, by qualified, I don't mean they have a degree from university or college, or they've got qualifications or credentials or anything like that. That's irrelevant. In today's economy, in today's world, those are meaningless. What really matters is results. That's why if you look at our website, we have pages and pages and pages of video testimonials from our clients who have implemented our advice and got some life-changing, incredible results. They've completely turned their life around. So I'm of the view that I'm qualified to teach you this stuff because we've helped other people similar to yourself, right? So when you are looking at this free advice, you always want to make sure these people are actually walking the walk and not just talking the talk. A lot of people are just regurgitating stuff that they've learned from elsewhere, not from their own experiences, because they're not doing this stuff. They are literally just a coach, right? They're literally just a coach, and they're not in multiple niches. They're just in one niche, and they expect everything to apply to every single niche, which is not true. A lot of the time, with our clients in all kinds of weird and wonderful niches, from we had one lady teaching kids how to read and to learn math and stuff with hand puppets, which was, I looked at that and it blew my mind, right? But it's incredible, it works. And there are tons of other niches as well, like survival, finance, real estate, business in general, self-development, stress reduction, and you can go on forever, right? But try and find somebody who's been in all of those industries, so that way when they're teaching you about something, they can give you nuances and differences between those niches, all right? So with all that said, with that massive disclaimer said, right, what you can do is use YouTube and just search for whatever you need help with, right? So how do I set up WordPress? Or, how do I get traffic on Facebook ads? And you can learn a lot from YouTube just from the free stuff, including our own YouTube channel and our Facebook group as well. Try not to get distracted though, because when you're doing that, you'll see little things down the sidebar that pique your interest, and they're designed to pique your interest because they're marketers. Don't forget, there's going to be stuff about drop shipping, about how you too can make hundreds of thousands of dollars per month with drop shipping, and they fail to tell you the fact not all of that is profit, and they're taking home this much profit from this much revenue, right? So try not to let that distract you. And try and stay focused, because the number one thing which derails a lot of beginners when starting a business is focus. They don't get focused enough, right? So that's kind of the very least risk scenario. Try and start for free. You can use free websites like Wix.com and so on. I wouldn't recommend it because they really limit what you can do. So I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it is an option if you are just totally screwed. Like if your financial situation is out of the window and you need to make something work. That's one option, right? The next option, which is going to be more efficient, is to have other people do work for you on a small scale. Now, what I mean by this is if you're struggling with the tech stuff, like, for example, setting up a WordPress blog, you can get that done for $5. You don't need to hire a website design agency. You don't need to hire a web developer or anything like that. You can get other people, freelancers, to do the work for you for very, very cheap, similar to graphic design, writing, and so on and so on. Now, there's a great site that I use all the time with our business and some of our clients where necessary as well, and that's Fiverr.com. That's spelled Fiverr.com. Okay, so Fiverr, as in here's a Fiverr, with an extra R on the end. Okay, so Fiverr.com, that's a great place. If you haven't heard of it already, you can get graphics design, you can get web pages kind of set up and laid out for you. Of course, what you pay these people will depend on what you want doing. Sometimes it's more than $5. Sometimes it's about 10 or 15. We usually pay about $10 for a product graphic, and other graphic designers are trying to charge us 100. So you can actually, save a bunch of money by using sites like that. Now, Fiverr is just one of them. There are many others, but that will make your budget, whatever available budget you have, stretch a lot further. And of course, it will stop you from procrastination if you are stuck with a specific thing. For example, I can't move on to this step because I don't have a WordPress blog because I'm not technical enough to install it, right? If that's holding you back, go to somewhere like Fiverr.com and set that up. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat box if this is all making sense. Let me know in the comments section. Sergio is here saying results. Yes, exactly, Sergio. I'm going to go ahead and heart that comment. That's what matters. There's a bit of a delay here, by the way. Whenever I'm saying something, there's like a 10-second delay, so don't worry if I seem to be ignoring you or whatever. I'm just trying to get through the material. Awesome. So once again, if you're joining us, hello, welcome. We are talking about stuff that I've learned since doing this stuff since 2008 about starting your business on a low amount of capital, all right, and how to raise those funds so you can accelerate your business's success, all right? So far we've gone through, free stuff, getting as much free stuff as you can, keeping in mind it's not going to get you to where you want to be, but it will at least get you making some element of progress, and it's better than nothing, all right? The next thing we talked about was how to use more, how to make your budget stretch further. How to make the most of what little funds you may have, if that's you, all right? The next thing up with, in terms of risk and everything else, is essentially using something called OPM, okay? Not the drug, okay? Dot, period, P, period, M, an abbreviation, right? So OPM, right? So this is short for other people's money. Okay, you can actually use other people's money to grow your business. Now, what I mean by this is quite amazing. And keep in mind, once again, big financial disclaimer, if you're just joining us, I'm not a financial consultant, advisor, anything like that. This is not financial advice. It is just something that I've done in the past with our company to grow our success rapidly compared to just kind of going along at a turtle's pace, right? At a snail's pace, right? So, other people's money. Now, there are a few ways you can go about this, right? Now, this really comes down to what you're eligible for, what what position you're in, and so on and so on. So I'm going to go through a few options of what we did. Now, with us, we had a company credit card when we had the UK company. Now we have the US company. We're in the process of establishing ourselves in the US and so on, and we'll get a US credit card to do the same. But we had an American Express card in the UK specifically for business. Now, the great thing about these cards is there's no limit as such. It varies depending on your repayment ability and your spending habits and so on. So, for example, if you totally screw up with your repayments and so on, they're not going to give you much of a credit limit, right? But if you pay off your credit every single time, keeping in mind in the UK at least, it's a charge card. So if you spend $1,000 in a month on ads, you need to pay that $1,000 back by the end of the month. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. So this is something which is really important. Do not do this if you are a complete beginner, you have no experience in terms of advertising and so on. Do not just go ahead and blow $1,000 on Facebook ads, expect that to magically turn into sales without any proven system or process, and then blame me for it. Okay, that's not what I'm telling you to do here, right? Just to be totally transparent here. What I'm telling you to do is if you do have a proven process you're following, if you know what your KPIs are, if you know what your lead cost should be, if you have proven experience of making sales, at least on the small scale, and you want to scale things up, this is a great way of doing it, okay? Or if you want to invest in a proven way where you're kind of guaranteed to be successful because of people's previous results, whether it's our coaching program or somebody else's, I don't care. As long as you get results, all good. Just make sure that you understand there is a risk to everything, and you need to be aware of that, right? So what we did with our credit card is we put all of our Facebook advertising spend on our Amex card for business. Now this was great because we were getting points for every dollar we spent on ads. So we were spending back then, I think it was like it was about $1,000 a week or so, which is not a lot really. Back then, like quite a low amount for most businesses. And we were getting a heck load of points. Like we went up to over 500,000 points on our card at one time. And that could have got us like free flights to China or whatever you want, right? Like anything, any kind of free flights around the world, VIP experiences and everything. Not to mention the fact that we had a great impact on cash flow because we weren't having to wait for clients to pay us and to join our stuff and go through our follow-up sequences and stuff like that. They were just, we had a little more leg room, we on the flights, but also in terms of our business as well. We had a little more wiggle room. So we were able to kind of invest, let's say $1,000 in ads in one day, and then we wouldn't have to pay it back until a month later. So that gave us a whole month to make back an ROI on what we'd spent on ads. So keep that in mind. Like, once again, this is not for you if you're a beginner, if you're guessing, all right? Don't guess, don't gamble your money. This is not gambling, right? You should have a proven process in place. You should have KPIs. You should know what your lead cost should be. You should know how much ROI you can expect from doing this stuff, right? Or if you're working with a coach and they tell you what to do, then that's assumed to be proven, right? Because of other people getting good results. But that's what we did. We racked up a bunch of points in the process. We could also redeem that to pay off our balance on our card. Not the best use of points, but it was possible. And also, it's just a great way to kind of stretch out your cash flow a little bit. And we paid off the card every single time on time at the end of each month, and it was all good. But if you're the type of person who isn't good with money, who struggles to stick to deadlines and who is guessing, then this isn't going to work for you, right? Just to be totally transparent. Now, another way of doing it is having a business startup loan. Now, depending on where you live in the world, this will vary. But most countries will have something called a government startup loan, where you can apply if you're brand new and all you need to submit is a business plan. Now, of course, if you're working with a coach, then you should have a pretty good idea of what that business plan is going to entail. So you should be able to write that in an afternoon and get that to them, and then you can, of course, answer any questions they may have. And depending on your history with your credit and your finances and so on, they might approve you for a sizable amount, which you can then invest into something proven. Again, do not use this to spend it on crap. Don't go ahead to the Warrior Forum and go spend that on $7 products, because that's not going to get you anywhere. Speaking from experience, right? I fell for that myself, right? It's just going to lead to overwhelm and just like confusion and hatred to the internet marketing community, right? So don't do that. That's a terrible way to go about it. Instead, a much better way is to spend it with a coach, somebody who's proven, join a mastermind, whatever. Whether it's ours or somebody else's, again, whatever is best for you. Just make sure that you're working with something that is proven, especially when you're using other people's money, right? You don't want to just guess, because before you know it, that money's going to be gone, and then you have a huge loan to pay off, right? Which you can't pay off because you've not made any return on that money. So that's one way of going about it, on using a government startup loan. Another one is that other companies, like private companies, will offer these startup loans as well. Again, this varies depending on your country, so you'll need to do a bit of Googling, but you'll be able to find them on Google and get in that way. Another way of doing things as well is using startup grants. Now, grants are something that a lot of people don't know about because they're not really advertised, because the companies want you to borrow money with them so they can get a return on having you as a client. So what these grants are, again, this varies massively depending on country to country, but if you're in specific areas or industries for your business, you can actually get free money from the government or private agencies and so on to start your business and to make that profitable. So this is usually in emerging fields like tech biotech, and some other areas as well. It does depend totally on the country and the industries that are available. There are lots of comparison sites available for this as well. So if you just do a Google search for your country business grants, so for example, Australia business grants, and see what comes up, spend maybe 30 minutes looking for these, and you might be able to find something pretty cool. And you don't lose anything by applying, right? And if you get approved, then you have this free money you can use to grow and scale your business. So that's one way of going about it. Another way as well is you can take on investors. That's not something I do, that we've ever done. It's not something that I would recommend, because you end up losing a portion of your company, and also losing the control of your company as well. Like, you get less of a say in where you want your company to head, because these investors are the ones who've started the company, and they might have their own ideas, which may vary depending on yours. Now, some people would argue that they would be telling you to do the right things. They would be telling you to do things that you've not done before, because they know how to grow a business and they want to see a return on their investment. And that's true for a lot of the time, but I'm a bit of a control freak. So in my business, I like to be on top of things. I like to know what's going on. I like to use my ideas to best help our community, not have some outside factor influencing what we do. So that's why we've never taken on any kind of equity share thing, or any kind of investors or anything else, even though we've been approached by people like that, right? So that is okay for you, though, if you're comfortable having somebody else help you with the business in that way, to kind of steer the ship, keeping in mind that they may not always steer it in the way that you want. If that's okay with you, then that's an option for you as well. Let me know in the comments if this is making sense so far. Just say hi. So far we've only got Sergio going crazy over his results, so let me know and we can get started with the next stuff. I'm just going ahead and going to refresh this. Cool. Okay, so for some reason this isn't being distributed. I don't know why, but the group isn't distributing this live stream. Don't know why. Anyway, if you're watching on the recording, let me know if this is making sense. I'm going to try and push the recording a lot more, seeing as people aren't really attending the live. So let's talk about the next things here. So we used, so far we've gone over the free stuff, using free methods out there, and using whatever you can to kind of get any sort of sizable progress, keeping in mind that not everyone gives away their best stuff for free. As a business, you want to hold back the best stuff for your coaching programs and so on, right? Also, we talked about using more of your budget to get more things done and not getting in your own way, right? And that would generate more profit for you to reinvest back into your business. So that's another thing. Let's talk about that actually before going into the other stuff. So when we're talking about this money here, right, generating money to be able to invest it in your business, let's talk about reinvestment. So what most people do when they start a business, they will make a bunch of sales and then just blow it all on a night out, on a restaurant meal, on a few drinks at a bar, whatever else, and they're back to zero. And what happens is they end up in this cycle of doom, essentially, right? They're just making money, spending it all on personal stuff, and then going back to square one every single time. There's no leverage there, right? And it's very tough to multiply a zero, right? If essentially you're making sales and you're not able to reinvest that back into the business, you're trying to multiply a zero. So a much better approach of doing this is to not spend everything you earn from your business. Let's say you make $1,000 in a week, you're super happy, it's the most money you've ever made online, right? So now what do you do with that $1,000? If that was me, and if I had a full-time job in this hypothetical situation, I would, that was able to provide for my family, I would reinvest the full $1,000. I would not start taking an income from my business until I was making at least $5K a month. I would not bother doing that, because of course you don't want to say, I'm not going to take a salary until I get to 10K a month or 50K a month. But then it becomes very demotivating when you're not seeing the return from your efforts, right? And you want to motivate yourself as time goes on, even if it's something small. Like for me, it's like whenever we make a big sale, like a new client who's paid us $20,000 or something, we'll go out and have a restaurant meal or something with my wife, right? But it depends on your situation and what you're selling. But for the most part, don't take a salary until you are making enough money that it's okay to take a salary, so you still have money left over to reinvest in the business. And I don't mean take 80% of your sales as a salary and invest 20%. Ideally, you want it to be the other way around to begin with. So you take a 20% salary, you reinvest 80%, and then as time goes on, you can afford to take more of a salary because whatever's left over is enough to continue growing your business. And don't forget, the more you invest in your business, the faster it's going to grow. If you're doing the right things, of course. If you just shell out money willy-nilly all over the place, guessing what you're doing, trial and error all over the place, and you have no idea what you're doing, then of course it's just going to blow that money down the toilet and you're never going to see a return. So don't do that. Okay, I've been there, made that mistake, got the t-shirt, right? So that's that one. Does anyone have any questions, by the way? As we're going through this stuff, I'm kind of rattling off each different thing, but let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. Even if you're watching this as a recording, if you're not attending live, if it doesn't say live in the top left corner, then it's a recording, of course. So let me know in the comment section and I'll be happy to respond to any questions you may have, all right? Because for some reason, Facebook isn't distributing this properly, and yeah, it's not distributing it at all. Sergio says, need to do an emergency errand. We'll finish watching the replay later today. Thank you, James. No worries at all, Sergio. Always happy to help. Perfect. All right. So yeah, that's one thing which you really need to be aware of, though, is, you know, try and treat your business like a business and don't see things as a cost. A lot of people see it as a cost, like, oh no, how much does ClickFunnels cost? It's $97 a month. Whereas offline business owners are paying thousands of dollars per month just for their premises. That is not including employees, payroll, rent and everything else. They might just pay a certain amount for the maintenance fees or whatever else. Then they have rent on top of that. They have manufacturing costs, shipping costs, all this stuff, right? Depending on their business model, of course. So an online business is actually much cheaper than an offline business, but people still freak out over spending $97 a month on ClickFunnels. And if you can't understand the fact that you're investing in future results whenever you spend any money in your online business, then an online business or any kind of business is not for you. All right, you should not be looking at this as a prospect. Like, you go to Walmart, you buy some food, that is a cost. You're not seeing a direct correlation to income coming back in again from that food, unless you, you record some YouTube videos about nutrition or something like that, right? But that's no weird, obscure situation. A lot of the time, there should be a direct correlation to the investment you make in your business. So let's say, for example, you invest in something like ClickFunnels at $97 a month, for example. At first, it might seem like a lot, especially if you're on a low income. But keeping in mind that is the equivalent to your premises. Instead of paying thousands of dollars a month for an offline business, you're paying $97. So these offline business owners will just scoff at you and say, oh my God, I can't believe that is your overhead for your business. And then most businesses have overhead. Right, they have overheads and different fees and so on, but for an online business, it's usually much less. So keep that in mind. And the whole point of investing in these tools, resources, coaching, and whatever else you want to invest in, is to make that return. We've had some people in the past scoff at the fact they need to spend money on a business, and they're still in the same situation, still broke AF 3 years later, because they've done nothing, because of that limiting belief. And it is a limiting belief. If you want to be successful in business, you need to spend money to make money. You probably heard that before. And it's true, you know. It's very, 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 very difficult, near on impossible, to make 6 figures a year on free stuff. And if you are trying it, then it's going to take you a very long time, right? And I mean, like, years, many, many years, okay, instead of weeks, as it should be. That's everything I really wanted to share on this call. Those are the main methods. I'm sure there are plenty of others as well, like you can invest in the stock market and stuff like that. I've never done any of that stuff, so I'm never going to talk about that. But I don't recommend doing that. There are other ways as well, like that involve manual labor. That's not really borrowing other people's money, but it's stuff that is really short term, right? There's stuff like, if you let's say if you sell your belongings that you don't use, any unused gym equipment or something like that, you can sell it on the Facebook Marketplace or on eBay or something to generate some cash, and so on. You can also do like jobs around the neighborhood and other things. I actually have a PDF document where I talk about different ways to raise money using these manual labor type things. Like if the worst comes to worst and you really need some sort of money and you're okay doing these manual tasks, ranging from like online work, writing, freelancing, that kind of stuff, all the way through to doing little tasks around the neighborhood and stuff like that. I give it to you for free. All you need to do is comment below and say Blueprint, right? Comment below and say Blueprint. It's a PDF that I was previously selling for $7, but you can get it for free. All right, just comment Blueprint below and I'll send you a private message with that PDF, and that will show you how to raise some funds so you can invest more in your online business, all right? But if you don't want that, totally fine. Hopefully you've learned a lot from this call. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and leave a comment. And also go ahead, if you enjoyed this session, if you found it valuable, please hit the thumbs up button and also leave a comment as well to say you've enjoyed it, because it helps the algorithm to get this content out to more people who need it, like yourself, and it enables us to just help more people around the world, right? So hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'm gonna go ahead and check the comments one last time before we end this session. No comments on the live version, no worries. Perfect. Cool, so hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you very, very soon. One last thing. If you do want to move forward with a coach, like if you're the type of person who has the money and you're feeling like, you know what, this is it, it's got to work. It's got to work, and I've got this amount of budget, it's got to work, otherwise I'm screwed. Then this is probably the best way of going about it. Go to digitalprosperity.com/chat over there. There we go. There we go, always prepared. You can actually have a free consultation with us and see if we can help you. We can see if you're in the right niche for us to be able to help you. We can talk about what it would look like to work together in our coaching program, and for me to personally coach you and get you through that process without having to go through the usual trial and error, right? So 3 main things. Number 1, go ahead, like this post and also comment below to say you enjoyed it. Number 2, if you do want that free PDF, which I was previously charging money for, go ahead and comment Blueprint if you want to see that PDF revealing tons of ways to generate money without, busting your ass at a 9-to-5 job or whatever else, that you can invest into your business. And third, if you want to talk with us about working together to accelerate your results and get those awesome results that you probably don't see anywhere else, go ahead and go to digitalprosperity.com/chat, and we can chat and have that free consultation together, all right? You'll need to enter your information, like how we can contact you, a little bit about what you've done so far, if anything, and also you can schedule a time that works for you, all right? Anyway, have a great rest of the day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.